mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to another episode of And I Quote, the live weekly show where we introduce you to a special guest. We have a friendly conversation, and we find out what plans they have for the future. I am your host, Ryan of Nerd Culture, and joining us this week is a very special guest. He is a veteran of everything, whether it's comic book writing, comic book artistry, or comic book editor. And he is an all-around swell guy. We've been waiting a long time to get him here on this very program. He is here with us now. Please welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Garth McMurray. Garth, how are you today, my man?
All right, good to be here.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, yes, sir, yes, sir. We could not be more thankful for you being with us here this week. Now, if you have any questions for our guest, Garth McMurray, please feel free to leave them in the live chat. Leave them in the comments section. Our producers are going to be monitoring it as we go throughout the course of the show. So to get things started here, Garth, how were you introduced to the world of comics?
Well, when I was a kid, when I was about 2 years old and stuff, my parents would read to me books like Babar and Tintin and stuff like that. Well, Tintin, as most people know it, that they grew up with in the Congo. And that got me into art and stuff. And then I got into comics because those are mostly pictures. So even though I'm learning to read, I could make stuff out, and it helped me learn to read. And that got me hooked on comics, especially Captain America was my favorite. And so I just got hooked on them, and my father was an art teacher. And so I got into the drawing of the comics at a young age as well.
Well, that is certainly incredible. And that kind of leans into my next question. What were some of your favorite comic book writers or artists growing up?
For writers, I'd say Chris Claremont and Alan Moore, and the old Stan Lee stuff. And then for artists, John Byrne, and I liked his writing as well, but I was a huge fan of his art from the get start, from Doomsday Plus One and Rog 2000 and all that. And other artists I loved were Barry Windsor Smith and Arthur Adams, Jack Kirby, of course.
Certainly legendary names within their own right. Now, what would you say are some of your favorite comic book movies or TV series, whether they be past or present?
Well, as far as movies go, Captain America Winter Soldier is my favorite. It's my favorite not only of the MCU, of any comics movie. I just really love the mix of the old Robert Redford spy stuff from this, 3 Days of the Condor type stuff mixed in with Captain America and Avengers stuff. And Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and Avengers Endgame, of course. And then for me, I like quirky stuff as well. Like I love Flash Gordon. It's a goofy movie, I know, but I love it, and all the Queen music in it, and and then The Rocketeer is another favorite comics movie that I love. And as far as the TV shows go, I'd say Legion is right up there. Right now, it's recency bias, but Loki is really awesome. Episode 5 blew me away. And I sort of liked Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. for some of it, but there are good and bad parts to it. And when growing up, I'd say it was the Adam West Batman and Linda Carter Wonder Woman and Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno Hulk. Those shows really founded my youth in comics live action.
Mm-hmm. Wow, a lot of great choices there. My goodness gracious, the list just continues to go on and on. That is for sure. Now, if we were, I know they can't really do it due to certain rights issues and distribution rights here and there, but when it comes to the Incredible Hulk, we had Ang Lee's Hulk of 2003, we had Ed Norton's 2008, the Incredible Hulk, and then eventually he was replaced by Mark Ruffalo, who is currently playing him within the MCU. Excuse me. I'm just curious if they were, and this is just, I just want to hear your thoughts on this. If they were to make the Incredible Hulk 2 and take everything they've done within the MCU thus far and then push the character forward, what would you want to potentially see in an Incredible Hulk sequel?
I'd want to get something along the lines of the Future Imperfect storyline with the Maestro. It would be, we're dealing with alternate realities and futures and pasts now in the MCU with time travel and other dimensions and this and that in the movies and TV shows. So I wouldn't mind seeing that, that possible future of Hulk being the only hero to survive and ruling over everyone and Hulk versus himself, basically. Hulk versus Maestro. I think that would be a cool storyline.
Intriguing. Maybe the MCU will play with some of that later on. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. It's up to Kevin Feige, because most people would say, in Feige we trust.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how it shakes out. You never know. But now with you, when did you exactly decide to become a comic book writer or artist?
It was right from the get-go when I was a kid. Basically, like I said, my dad was an art teacher, and so I grew up learning to draw from him. And mostly one of the things that helped me to draw was basically tracing comics, or just write out, just putting my paper next to it and just trying to copy it as best as I could. And from there, my dad taught me anatomy, where at a very young age, I was going to life drawing classes that he taught. So it was weird seeing, he taught high school kids, but it was still weird seeing this young, 8-year-old kid in a life drawing class. So I was drawing nude men and women at a young age, but it helped learn anatomy, and of different body shapes and forms, not just the heroic muscled, So that's important when drawing comics. Is they're not all the buff guys. Spider-Man's more skinny than Captain America versus Hulk, etc. They're all different body types. So you got to learn the differences between people.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It's definitely a fair point. Everyone comes in different shapes and sizes. That is very, very true. No matter what kind of person or what kind of character you are drawing, I should say. What would you say have been some of the rewards of being a comic book writer or artist?
Well, the most fun for me is my friends own a comic store, Kamikaze in Davis Square in Somerville, and I've worked at the store and stuff and helped out. But one of the most greatest things was us starting our own comics company, Bad Kids Press, where we love comics and we wanted to start publishing them. So we just gathered all our artist friends and writer friends and everyone together and just put out our own comics. And then at conventions, which Kamikaze was already going to as a comic book store to sell stuff and all that, we would do signings and art, and so I would do commission drawings and stuff, and so that was really awesome. I especially love doing commission drawings for kids when parents come and they're like, "Oh, here's $20 to draw this thing for my kid." It's really rewarding to see the fan right there.
Absolutely. Which character do you enjoy drawing the most?
I'm still a Captain America guy. He's always been my favorite since I was a kid. And so he's the one. If you go through my sketchbooks, he's the one that pops up the most. And I'd say the other ones who pop up a lot are Beast from the X-Men, the blue fuzzy version, and Spider-Man. I like drawing the webs.
Oh, Good old Hank McCoy, a little bit of Peter Parker, obviously Cap. Especially, I'm sure you like the scene during, I believe it was Spider-Man: Homecoming, when people are sitting in detention. The video pops up and Captain America turns the chair around like AC Slater. He sits down. So you're in detention. You got busted.
Yep.
Just
that was great.
I thought that must have been a trip for you to see that. He turns a chair around, pulls a 91 AC Slater, and he says, "Well,
yeah.
So you're here. This is how you landed."
And that's right in character with him to do PSAs. That's like he would have been back in the day. He would have been doing those, just say no, don't do drugs stuff.
That must have been a trip for you for sure. But no, that's great. That's great. You get to do that and draw certain characters for for the kids or other audiences out there. But on the flip side of things, what would you say have been some of the challenges of being a comic book writer or artist?
I'd say motivation. I've got a lot of health issues and including depression and stuff. And so like motivating myself, like when I draw stuff, I don't think it's good a lot of the time. And then other people are like, no, that's great. And like I so I'll trash my art now and then, but it's, other people think it's great. So it's always been this headache of I need other people to look at something and be like, no, that's ready to go out. That's a good page. Where I want to keep working on it and keep working on it. And so that's been the biggest hurdle for me is feeling confident enough in what I've produced to put it out there for the public.
Mm-hmm. I see. And thank you for sharing that with us. We are talking with veteran comic writer, artist, and editor Garth McMurray. If you have any questions for him, leave them in the live chat, leave them in the comments. We will be taking those towards the end of the show. So Garth, let's try something here. Any special memories from being at conventions or other events, whether you've been as a vendor or an attendee?
Yeah, one of my favorite conventions memory was back in the 80s. Went with friends to a convention in Boston. And as we're entering, I'm chatting with my friends, and I'm not paying attention to where I'm walking, and I bump into someone, and I'm like, oh, geez, so I'm sorry. And I smell this great perfume, and I look, and it's Julie Newmar, who played Catwoman in the old Batman series. And so I'm like, like she was there for the and I'm just like, and her perfume smelled great, and she looked awesome. I mean, she looked awesome throughout her life, but in the 80s, she was still amazing, and I was like starstruck, and I just stood there like frozen like a statue. And she goes, "That's perfectly all right, darling," and walks off, and I'm just like, And then there's a hand on my shoulder, and this voice whispers in my ear, "Bet you won't forget that for a long time." And I turn around, and it's Jonathan Harris, who played Dr. Smith on Lost in Space.
Oh my gosh!
and then he walks up, and I'm just like going, just like mouth agape, just frozen as a statue, and all my friends are cracking up like 10 feet from me. And so that was a wonderful memory. It's just like literally bumping into her. And I'm trying to think of other ones. I think for on the other side of the table, it was having other artists and stuff, people come over and like my work and want commission drawings and stuff like that. So that's been like, I have a lot of friends who are in the industry, who are pretty well known. Erica Henderson is known for, she's won some Eisners for Squirrel Girl and for Jughead. And Ming Doyle has done some great work. And she's written for Constantine, and she drew the Kitchen series, which got turned into a movie. Not a great movie, but still, her comic got turned into a movie, so that's cool stuff. So I've got a lot of friends like that, where it's cool when they are a fan of some of the stuff I do, and I'm like, but you're way up there, you're doing Marvel and DC. I'm still doing independent stuff, but it's cool when they like my stuff. So.
Oh, well, that is truly amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Now, once you're able to get, your health improves greatly and you're able to go back out, see some people, meet up with friends, whether it's family or otherwise, and conventions are starting to come back. They are getting back on track here. I'm just curious, is there anyone you hope to meet, or maybe someone you hope to meet as well as work with once you're able to go back to conventions?
Basically, I like working with my friends, but I wouldn't mind doing a collaboration with, like I just mentioned, some of my more popular friends. I wouldn't mind doing something with them, whether it's even just contributing some pages, like some fan art to some project they're doing. I wouldn't mind doing something collaborative with them. And someday, hopefully, if I keep putting out stuff, which I need to do on the independent scale, if I could work for any of the big ones, Marvel or DC or someone for any amount, I'd do it.
I see. Well, that's great. We wish you the best. We hope things improve for you, with your health and things like that. So you're able to go back out, see all these wonderful, wonderful folks, because I'm sure Comic Cons are missing you just as much as you are missing them.
Yeah.
100%. There's no question about it. Now, you brought up a character a moment ago, and I'm just curious. This thing has been tossed around in the rumor mill for a while. Some people said it's going to be animated. Some people said it maybe potentially live action somewhere down the line. I'm not sure. But if you were to cast someone to play the character of Squirrel Girl, whether it be animated or otherwise, who would you want to play the character?
I'm blanking on her name right now, but they already did cast it. They already made the pilot for they did a New Warriors TV pilot that wasn't picked up. And I'm blanking on her name. She's in right now. There's the I think it's called Wolfwalkers or something. It's a new comedy horror movie. And she's one of the stars of it. I'd have to look. Marianne Van Trib or something like that. Anyways, she was already cast as Squirrel Girl, and from what I saw of the TV pilot, I think it was good casting. The other one I could think of is I'm trying to think of her name right now. It's from the comedy duo Hall & Oates, the shorter girl. I'm blanking on her name right now. Anyways, but she could do Squirrel Girl, I think, as well. I'm blanking on her name now.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, some of these names aren't coming to me either. If anyone knows these names, feel free to leave them in the live chat, leave them in the comments, because I'm blanking on this. Now, I did remember hearing somewhere they were going to put a Squirrel Girl or incorporate her into a series, and you're right, New Warrior. I missed that piece of information about New Warriors. I guess I must have heard about it a while ago. It just kind of left my mind. I apologize for that. But, well, there you go. Those are the thoughts on Squirrel Girl. I've heard a couple of things about this character over the years. Everyone's saying, oh, this character's great. She should be in a live action or an animated. And I'm thinking, Squirrel Girl, really? But, hey, Guardians of the Galaxy came out of nowhere, and that surprised everyone. So
yeah. No, and I wouldn't be surprised if she just pops up in something like She-Hulk. She could fit right in there. There was a part of me hoping, but I knew it wouldn't fit in with the aesthetic of the Netflix shows. But in the comics, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones have a baby, and the babysitter is Squirrel Girl.
Oh,
so they if the Netflix series had continued on and they had a baby, I would have liked her to come in that way, but they obviously ended.
Yeah, that would be something for the books. If they were going to have a series based around Luke Cage and Jessica Jones having a kid, would they call the show Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, or would they call it, do you want a cup of coffee? Would you like some coffee? Like something like, you know what I mean? Like something along those lines, because we all remember that line from Luke Cage or whatever. Whenever it first dropped, I remember him saying, want a cup of coffee, want to grab some coffee, whatever it was. And then that led to other things that we will not discuss on this very program. But I think it'd be kind of funny if they called it "Let's Get Coffee."
Yeah,
Let's call it that. Let's just go. You know what? That's 3 words. It's a simple title. People who remember watching those series on Marvel Netflix, a few years ago would get the reference. So, executives, if you're watching this, we just gave you a really good idea. So, feel free to proceed with it as you will.
And I have an alternate title since his alias is Power Man. They could be Power Couple.
There you go. There's another one. There's another one. Power Couple. That's a good. I wouldn't mind if they toss that in for good measure. I'm just saying. That's good stuff, man. Goodness gracious. Man, that's one for the books. Well, this one here, Garth, if you had to pick 5 trade paperbacks or 5 hardcovers that should belong on everyone's bookshelf, which ones would you recommend?
First one would be Watchmen. I wasn't a fan of the movie adaptation by Snyder.
Too creepy.
But the TV series, I was pleasantly surprised that I loved it. I really loved that because that more continued on from the comics than, it didn't have anything to do with the movie. It stuck close to the comics. But yeah, I read those issues when they came out back in '86, and they actually had big gaps between months sometimes. And once it all came out in one form, I've read it over and over every year since, and I never get enough of it. I've got all the different versions, all the deluxe hardcovers and bonus things and all that. So that's something I would recommend to anyone. The other one, as I'm looking at my bookcase, is the Captain America Winter Soldier, written by Ed Brubaker with art by Steve Epting. It's that collection, that story, because there used to be a rule in comics that nobody stays dead except for Bucky and Uncle Ben. So when they brought back Bucky, everyone was like, "Whoa, wait, what?" And they handled it so well that I forgave them. I was like, you can't bring back Bucky, and the way they did it, it was brilliantly handled. And for another one, I'd say the Preacher books by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon. Even if it's just the first volume, there are 6 hardcovers collecting the series, but it's a brilliant series and a finite series, and it's really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I'd suggest is the Captain Britain going back to Alan Moore. There's a brilliant run by Alan Moore with art by Alan Davis. And it's actually the very first time that Marvel got into alternate universes and realities, where they travel through different alternate realities and meet different Captain Britons and different, there's a big bad monster, the Fury, that hunts down superheroes and is willing to cross dimensions just to wipe out heroes. And it's brilliantly written, and the art is gorgeous on it. So that's another Alan Moore I recommend. And then I'd say I'd go with the Starman Comics. The Jack Knight ones, those are really good by DC. Basically, it's the son who reluctantly takes the mantle of Starman when his brother is killed and his father is too old, and he doesn't want to do it, but he learns to be a hero, and it's an interesting journey. You want me to keep going, or?
Oh, no. I mean, I did ask for 5, so I think you covered. I think you covered all 5 bases, if I remember correctly. Okay. So, but thanks for sharing that with us, and thank you. Did you hear that, friends? We got 5 great recommendations out there from Garth McMurray. He knows what he's talking about. He's been a veteran. He's a veteran. He knows what he's saying. So I take it you did enjoy the Preacher TV series with, speaking of MCU alum, Dominic Cooper.
No,
you didn't enjoy the series?
No, too many changes. Too many changes. It kept the character names, but it just veered off way too much. You know, I mean, I won't get into too much of it, but basically, in the series, the town is destroyed by a fart, that causes an explosion kind of thing. But in the comics, it was the wrath of God. So totally different, you know. It was
Yeah,
like
I was gonna say. Okay, yeah.
one-
With that one sentence description, I think I'll just go to my LCS, which stands for local comic shop, and just get the paperbacks
Yeah.
of Preacher
Yeah.
is what I'm referring to, Preacher. But gee whiz. Anyway, that's just yeah. Anyhow, that okay. Good thing a lot of shops still carry the paperbacks of the hardcover, so I can always go back in there and get them later. But fair points. Now, what comic book character has not yet been adapted to the big or small screen would you like to see be adapted next, and why?
I wouldn't mind. You know, we were just talking about Preacher. I wouldn't mind seeing a well done movie. I know it encapsulates a lot. You know, it's almost 100 issues. I think it's like 80 something altogether. It's 6 hardcovers. You know, but so there's a lot of story there. So it's probably more adept for an HBO series, but they tried doing a TV series, but I think it could be parsed down to, you know, a good 2.5 hour, maybe 3 hour movie. And I wouldn't mind seeing that handled. There was comics that I really love, The Six Gun, and they made a TV pilot that wasn't picked up. And I was bummed about that, so I wouldn't mind that getting another shot at a TV series. It's basically it's a Western, but with magic guns. These 6 guns that are like cursed. They each have a different power, and you know, different people possess them. And you know, once if you own all 6, then you become ultra powerful. You know.
Ooh. That sounds intriguing, and I like westerns, so I'd be happy to see that.
They shot a pilot. It wasn't picked up, but the photos and short videos you see of the pilot, it looked really cool, and so it's a bummer it never got picked up.
I do miss seeing some westerns on TV or in film, for that matter.
Yeah. And even when they're comedic, like I love the old the Bruce Campbell Briscoe County Jr. series, which was basically Indiana Jones in the West, you know, and I really love, you know, that. So I'll take all the westerns you can give me.
Westerns, good time period to play with. A few different characters, you can play around with a few different mythologies, depending on what kind of story you're trying to tell, so to speak. When it comes, I'm just curious though, what was it, Bruce Campbell? What kind of character do you think he's going to cameo as in Doctor Strange 2, The Multiverse of Madness?
We'll see. Basically, I wouldn't mind seeing him as an actual more than just a cameo. I don't know who they're going to involve in the movie, but I wouldn't mind seeing him as like Nightmare or something pop up. But as far as cameos, I don't know, because it's going to be mixing in Scarlet Witch and Spider-Man and all sorts of stuff like that. So I kind of want to be surprised as to like where he pops up. And if he doesn't pop up, we're all going to be like, what are you doing, Raimi? But
That is true. Considering a lot of us grew up watching, whether it's the Evil Dead films or the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. Yes, 1 and 2 are still good. I don't care what anyone says. Spider-Man 3, we won't talk about that one. But that was sort of kind of my introduction to Bruce Campbell, was the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, and eventually he went on to do Sam Axe on the hit TV series Burn Notice, which I really, really liked. And that was one of the best spy shows I've ever seen. So my hat's off to the people who worked both in front of the camera and behind the camera for, I believe it was 7 seasons of Burn Notice. Great stuff, Michael Weston. I loved it.
and not only a brilliant series, but I grew up watching MacGyver and being a fan of that. So I got into the MacGyverisms, where basically it's like, we're gonna build a bomb out of beers and bacon grease, and so and it also got me back into eating more yogurt.
There was a good amount of plugs for yogurt on Burn Notice during its 7-year run, and also Michael Weston narrating almost everything, like when he was planning something or doing something or executing one of his plans. I loved it. I thought the narration was so good, and Jeffrey Donovan, just solid actors, great narrator. You had, Gabrielle Anwar. I hadn't seen her since '93's The Three Musketeers, so to see her after all those years, I'm thinking, dang, girl, where have you been? But then again, I learned a little bit later on that she did Scent of a Woman with Pacino. So, she did do something after Three Musketeers. It's just, for me, I was late to the party, so that was my fault. But anyway, good stuff, Burn Notice. Great series. Anyhow, those are my 2 cents on that. But fantastic ideas. Hopefully some of these characters will be adapted somewhere later on, or will, the cameo or what role Bruce Campbell may or may not be playing in Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse of Madness. We shall see where it goes. Now, for this one here, Garth, what's something that people think makes them look cool, but actually makes them look ridiculous? And I'm speaking in general terms. So in general, what's something that people think makes them look cool, but actually makes them look ridiculous?
I'm trying to think. Maybe showing off their possessions. I've got a wide variety of friends, from the very poor like me to the very rich billionaires, and so when I see some show off, like, oh, I got this TV that takes up the whole wall, or I've got my own private home theater and all that, and it's very cool stuff, and I'd probably do that myself if I had the money. But when they show stuff off like that, or their new car or whatever, and trying to be like, hey, isn't that important? Although it can be impressive, and you might be jealous, and you might be like, I'd want that myself if I had the money. It's something that doesn't make them look cool in my eyes. It makes it look like they're just showing off and being braggadocious, and so that's something that's like, okay, we get it. You got money. But.
Okay, fair enough. What's the funniest name that you can think of for a pet? So the funniest name you can think of for a pet. Any pet, doesn't matter.
Let's see. I go with Jormungandr for a big snake. He's one of the children of Loki. He's the Midgard serpent who encircles the world. And when Ragnarok happens, he poisons Thor, and Thor takes a few steps and dies. Like Thor kills him, but gets blasted with poison, and just takes a few steps and dies. So that's how Thor dies. And so naming a big snake, like big like python, Jormungandr.
Oh my God, my goodness gracious. Well, in the words of a famous archaeologist, snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? That's just my two. That's just my 2 cents on the matter. And we've covered this a little bit before, but real quick sidebar. Happy belated birthday, 40th anniversary to Raiders of the Lost Ark. We love you. So, what's the cheesiest movie moment or line you can possibly think of, Garth? What's the cheesiest movie moment or line you can think of?
In all movies?
Yes.
Wow.
Any and all movies. Anything you've seen. Or may not have seen. I don't know. Could go either way.
That's a tough one. Because there's some pretty cheesy movies.
I mean, if you would like to name more than one, you can raffle off 3 or 4 if you wish. But we're just curious.
No. Yeah, no, I'm having trouble narrowing it down to one. Well, I mean, or just thinking. Basically, I'm trying to think of like what's a really cheesy line. Um,
No, it could be a movie moment or a line. So it could be a scene or a line.
yeah, and right now I'm sort of like um trying to think of what's uh I don't know. I don't have a good answer for this one because I'm trying to think of like which movies I think are really dumb and cheesy. Um,
I mean, we can give you a moment to think about it and move on to the next question.
yeah, let's move on.
Okay, I'll give you. We could play the Jeopardy theme song in the background. Let you think of it for a
Yeah.
few moments. But just to give everyone a quick sidebar here before we get back onto some of the other questions we have here. Garth and I are big fans of the MTS, which stands for the Movie Trivia Schmodown, the best thing in sports entertainment. They also got the First Class League, which is their developmental league that's been going over well for the last, I believe it's been 4 months now that the FCL has been going on. So congratulations to all of them, everyone who's put it together, everyone who's done it. So I'm just curious here, Garth. Movie Trivia Schmodown, favorite singles competitor?
I'd have to go with Jeff Snyder. I like his attitude. Boston area guy like me, and he's from Newton, and so I just like his attitude. That there have been matches where he kind of shuts down if he gets a category he doesn't like and doesn't do well. But for the most part, he's a great player and has proved it with his records, especially in teams.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, uh, but I still think he's a great singles player as well, and I just love his attitude.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So favorite Movie Trivia Schmodown teams. Favorite, or should I say favorite team? Favorite team within the teams division.
And similar answer, it's the Yacht Couple. I think that Snyder and Andreyko worked well together. It's sad that Andreyko has to step back, but it's for good reason. It's career related and positive news, and he can't share it all. But my fervent hope is that they're finally making a movie of Torso that him and Brian Michael Bendis did the graphic novel of. Uh, it's about Elliot Ness hunting down a serial killer.
Oh wow!
And it's a really, really brilliant graphic novel. Um, uh, and it's all true story. It's Elliot Ness hunted down a serial killers, and it's interesting stuff. So I'm hoping that's what he's working on. But yeah, the Odd Couple, they have very different tastes, very different attitudes, but they work so well together. And when they get in their own heads and stuff, Roxy swoops in and coaches them and says, "Get it together, guys. Get your heads back in the game."
Mm-hmm.
And they've really proven themselves over the years.
Yeah, I respect that. I respect it. So I think you know where I'm going next. Favorite inner geekdom competitor?
I'm gonna go right now. I'm gonna go with Newbie, who hasn't had many matches yet, but I think will be rising star, and someone that I know from the fan leagues is Amaru. I really think he's gonna rise up in the IG and prove himself to be worthy of a belt.
Amadou, we're looking at you, man. The Fan League 4, congratulations, and congratulations on your most recent matchup. Walked out with a big W. Congrats, awesome tacular. Wish you the best moving forward, Amadou. Such a great kid.
Yeah,
good show.
And
good
that's the thing is that
he's great.
He does all sorts of. He does video editing. He runs his own shows. He runs all sorts of stuff.
Yep. You and I have been on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and I have been on his shows before. It's great.
And he writes questions for matches and in the fan leagues and he co-hosts. He does everything, even while being in the Schmodown. So amazing guy, and there's nobody who doesn't like him. He's well loved by everyone. He's You know, brilliant guy and wonderful guy. And
Yeah,
I
100%,
wanna see him
100%
rise.
agree with you on that. Yeah. So looking forward to see what he does next because he's a jack of all trades. Gee whiz, this
Yep.
guy. So come to the galaxy far, far away. Favorite Star Wars competitor?
That one I got to go with Alex Damon. I'm biased because I'm a Star shill, as you saw with Snyder and the Odd Couple. But yeah, I got to stick with Alex Damon. I mean, he's proven himself over and over again that he's a tough one to beat. His losses are few and far between. You know, he's held on to that belt for the longest of anyone. You know, if you count all the months, and so he's gonna get it back. And you know, I definitely think he's gonna get it back, and I think he's the best one.
Great answers. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And yeah, I do have a lot of respect. I do like Alex Damon. I do. I definitely do. But I will say that match between him and Demolanta for the Star Wars title, where it's described in the title of the video, like this is the best trivia match that's ever been played. I lost my mind at the end of that match. I was like, oh my gosh, like it happened. It happened. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
But great match. No, there are no losers here. Everyone was a winner that day. That is certainly one of the all-time greatest trivia matches that's ever been put on film. I mean, that is certainly one of the best ever between Andrew Demolanta and Alex Damon. Those two are just two of the all-time greats, whether it be in the Star Wars division or just the MTS in general. You cannot deny how great that match was in the build-up and the electricity. And even though it wasn't a live event, there weren't 20,000 people filling the arena, but you could feel it. You could feel it in round 3s, 4, and 5. Like I mean, pretty much the whole way through, you knew it was going to be a rubber. You knew it was going to be a rubber match. It was going to be insanity, and it was great.
Yep, and it was all almost running out of questions. It just kept going and going. You know, it was like what's I hope they got 100 questions back there. You know.
Like the Energizer Bunny keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
Do we remember those commercials from back in the day? Because I sure as heck do.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So you've had some time to think about it. Name the cheesiest movie moment or line you can think of, Garth. Do you have an answer to that one?
All right. Let's see. No, I don't.
Okay, drawing a blank. It's okay. There are no right or wrong answers.
Give me a JTE. Give me a
Exactly. Well, it's okay. It's all right. It's all good. If anyone else has a thought on that, what do you believe to be the cheesiest movie moment or line? Leave us a thought in the comments section. We would love to hear your thoughts about this. Absolutely, 100%. So what would you say what is your most unusual talent there, Garth? What is your most unusual talent? Could be anything.
Unusual. I guess something I've done since I was a kid is I loved climbing things, and when I was a kid I would like climb up the sides of buildings, trees, and all that, and I learned that my feet are like monkey-like. I've got big feet and big toes, and so I like identified with Hank McCoy, the Beast, the early versions and stuff, and when he would do a lot of stuff with his feet, and so I learned to like pick up things with my toes and all that, and actually taught myself to write and draw with my feet.
Wow. Goodness
so
gracious.
it's my left foot situation. If I ever wind up in dire straits, I can still draw and paint and stuff with my feet.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing with us. That is truly an amazing talent. Now, I know they're going to incorporate these characters very soon, if not somewhere down the line. But who, if anybody, and it's okay if there's no first name that comes to mind. But if they're going to bring Hank McCoy, the Beast, into the MCU, who would you want to portray him?
Well, I gotta give a shout out to the Kelsey Grammer portrayal, because my dad looks like Kelsey Grammer. So for me, as a long-term Hank McCoy Beast fan who identified with him, when I saw that like the guy who looks like my dad was playing him, I was like, yeah, but as for new incarnations coming down the line, We need someone who's studious and bookwormy and all that. And, so I don't know about ages, like what they would be going for, how old they'd be going, and or all that. But I actually, even though I'm not a fan of the Potter movies, I wouldn't mind someone like Daniel Radcliffe coming in, where he's known to be like nerdy geek and all that. I wouldn't mind him being like a Henry McCoy. But if you're doing the like Transformed McCoy, where it's Beast and all that, then you got to go somewhat different. You got to go with someone more muscular. So for that, I'm not entirely sure. I guess I'd go to, any of the young bucks who are more in shape and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can certainly understand that. Wow, Daniel choosing Harry Potter to play Hank McCoy. That is, hey, stranger things have happened in different movies of different genres. So if they pick, hypothetically, if Daniel Radcliffe signed on the dotted line and sold his soul to Kevin Feige in the MCU himself, that would definitely get fans talking.
That's what I was thinking. Is that I didn't grow up reading the Potter books and watching the movies, and so I'm not a fan of them. I study them or try to study them for geek matches. But all the spell names and everything get to me. Oh my
gosh.
What spell did they use for this? And it's like, I don't know.
It's too much. I didn't grow up reading the books. I watched all 8 movies, and that was it. And then after I watched the movies, I'm thinking to myself, okay, these were fun, these were fine, but I'm not a big fan of the franchise. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and in fact, sacrilege to the people who grew up with them is I actually like the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them because of the character who's a schlubby, fat American nomad, and I'm like, that's me. Where he's like got no magic powers. He's just this American nomad guy, and he's swept up in these things, and he's going, "What's that? What's that? How's that happening?" And that would be me. So that that's what I like is that character, and so to say that I like that best out of the Potter movies is like sacrilege to most of the Potter fans.
Now we'll get someone in the comment section talking. But with that being said, Garth, what projects do you have coming up?
Right now, I'm still working on something for Bad Kids Press that's I can't talk. It's sort of in the works, and it'll be a while coming. So maybe next year, maybe the year after. But it's an interesting take on a hitman, basically, is about all I can say. But we're trying to work on it and figure out how we're gonna handle it. So.
Ooh, excellent. Sounds very intriguing. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. We want to take this opportunity to thank Garth McMurray for being our guest this week, right here on And I Quote. Garth, where can everyone find you on social media and everything you have coming up?
It's just Garth McMurray on Facebook and Twitter, and Garth_McMurray on Instagram, where you can see a lot of my comics art and other stuff. And I'm not on Instagram much, but I'm on Twitter a lot. So
sounds like a plan. Thank you very much for being with us here, Garth McMurray. Once again, my name is Ryan of Nerd Culture. You can follow me and everything that we're doing here on all forms of social media, simply at It's Nerd Culture. Don't forget, like, comment, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel, do all that stuff. And if you're wondering where some of those questions came from, like what's your most unusual talent, what do you think is the cheesiest movie moment or line that you can possibly think of, well, this episode of And I Quote and every episode is powered by Pod Decks. Pod Decks are the latest thing in podcasting. Simply buy a set of cards, shuffle them up, and let the content roll. Be sure to go to poddex.com, use promo code NERDCULTURE to get 10% off your order. You're not going to want to miss it. It's great, great stuff. So we want to take this opportunity to thank, once again, Garth, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for joining us. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. And in the meantime, to all of you out there, stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe, and read comics. Take care, everyone.
Welcome, Glasscock Park, to this glorious day.
Today is your lucky day. We got some great stuff. This is Glasscock Park.
Marvelous.
Thank you.
people.
Now, it's time.
Tell your friends, huh?
I'm GW Comicher.
I'm Dina Marie.
I'm Sage Ia.
I'm Thomas Carter Rochester.
Hey, I'm David Thompson.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Mia.
Hi, I'm Mark.
Hey there, this is Dave Adams.
Hi, I'm Rosemary Rose.
Jerome Conner here.
Hey guys, it's Josh Bauer.
It's Willow Schuyler.
I'm Cosplay Michael.
I'm Brian.
It's your boy Country.
I'm Ryan Permison.
And I'd like to ask you guys,
please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please, please, please
subscribe.
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 Please subscribe to HWWS
Web TV.
Great bunch of people.
And don't forget to smash the bell.
Ring that bell.
Smash that bell.
Hit that bell.
Hit the bell to be notified.
Hit the bell to get notified of new shows
and videos.
You're going to want to do that, so do that soon.
So we can cross that 20,000 mark.
And get us to 100,000 subscribers.
To 1 million, and 10 million, and 100 million.
On HWWS.
Web TV.
You'll really like it. I guarantee it.